What would it feel like to build a lifestyle that naturally helps your heart heal day by day? How do you know when your heart is healing? What are the signs emotionally and mentally? And how does a healed heart influence what you believe is possible for your life and for the world? We'll be talking about this and more on today's episode of Our Waking Dream. I'm so glad you're here. My name's Coco Swanson. I'm a leadership mentor, somatic specialist, astrologer. I have been immersed in the field of healing arts since I was a child, and I'm nearing 50 now. So it's been a good 3 decades of immersion in my career. And I come here every week to offer practical, embodied astrology. And I use astrology as a map to point out what subconscious themes are moving through different timelines. Some of the themes I'll bring up are like a new moon, which is today I'll be talking about a new moon. However, some themes I talk about last longer, which this new moon does, because this new moon is an eclipse. So sometimes I'll talk about things that last 6 months. That's like an eclipse. Or in this case, we're talking about the nodes of the moon. They change sign every year and a half. And so when they change signs, that's worth talking about for a while to make sure that we're inhabiting practices that help us deeply understand, reconcile the patterns that are contained within the metaphor, and shift our awareness and behavior to embody, in this case, the attributes of the North Node. Let me unpack this. Okay, before I get unpacked, let me talk about what's going on over on my website. Just so you know, there's a whole ecosystem of support. I've built a leadership studio where I build practices around this material, meditations, somatic exercises that you can press play to. And I have a whole community being built over there with, it's every other week I drop new practices and meditations. And then I have Solutions Lab for free every other week. So there's more information about that on my site. So if you're interested, there are always links below. Okay, let's get back into astrology. So if this is new to you, let it be a wash every week, just like you're learning a new language, because it is a language. It's a language of metaphor. It's as within, so without. Another way of saying that is the cosmos and the metaphor contained, the meaning. What is the metaphor contained within the cosmos? It means that each planet and each zodiac signs has different attributes, it has different strengths and weaknesses, and lessons inherent within the strengths and weaknesses. It's kind of like a game of matchy match is what I'd call it. We have the North Node, say, July 26th, it just moved into Aquarius. Well, we play matchy match in the sense that we say, what's the North Node about? The North Node is all about what we as a collective are invited to practice and learn to press into our evolutionary edge. Another way of translating that is practice these traits, Aquarian traits, and we will experience more happiness or more desired movement in our lives. So we say the North Node. Anytime we say the North Node, that's our evolutionary edge. It stays, the nodes stay in one sign and they move backwards, but they stay in one sign for a year and a half. So the North Node is in Aquarius for the next year and a half until March 2028. So this is a longer story. It relates to this new moon, and I'll explain why. The new moon on August 12th. So the North Node just moved into Aquarius, and North also has South. South Node and the North Node always go together. And when they change signs together. They're always mirroring each other on an axis point in the zodiac. What this means is that the South Node is now in Leo. The South Node always means, so the metaphor it always contains an invitation to reconcile and integrate the attributes, oftentimes the weaknesses, within the South Node, the sign of the South Node. The South Node just moved into Leo. So therefore, this whole next year and a half, we benefit from a daily excavation of how we are doing in all things Leo. Well, the inquiry questions that I started this little episode with are about that. Does your life have room and practices and a knowledge base to help your heart heal? What does that feel like? What does a healed, expressed heart feel like and look like for you? What is your authentic joy? These are Leo questions. And so this next year and a half, especially this first part with the nodes in Leo and Aquarius, we want to look at the wounding so we get to know, take the pulse on how we are in the shadow side of Leo. And maybe you're actually fully expressed in your Leo. You're feeling confident, healed in your heart. You feel confident in your expression and your role as a leader. Well, if that's the case, then you'll be moving more into the Aquarius side. So the journey of the nodes is from the South Node to the North Node. I think of that because the North Star, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, is a guiding light. So the North Node is a guiding light. That's what's helped me remember that that's what we're moving towards. Okay, this said, an eclipse means that the moon is near the nodes. This moon is near the South Node. We have a South Node eclipse in Leo at 20 degrees Leo on August 12th. It's a big eclipse. It's a total eclipse. And this said, every time we have an eclipse, what that means astrologically, metaphorically, is that we have a reset button. Think of a reset button. What if, for all of you that can't see my face, pretend like you can. I have a smile on my face, and I'm going to cover my face. This is one of my favorite games to play with children, but it's kind of creepy sometimes because I can cover my face and I can all of a sudden be sad. The next time you see my face, it's a reset button. It can go from one experience to an entirely different experience depending on what I do on the reset. Same with an eclipse. What do we want to do on the reset? We're in the eclipse window right now, and the eclipse window lasts for months after the eclipse. So whatever we do within the eclipse, we can really change our experience of, in this case, Leo moving into Aquarius. So we not only have the new moon in Leo, that means the sun and the moon are in Leo. We have the North Node that just moved into Aquarius. That means the South Node's in Leo. And we have Mercury, 5 degrees Leo, in that like sweet spot. The 5 to 4 degrees of any sign right now means it will light up all the outer planets. So that means it's sextiling Uranus, it's trining Neptune, and it's sextiling Venus. I won't be getting into all those details because this is just a baby astrology lesson, and then the practices are the rest. But suffice it to say that there's a lot going on in Leo that if we really embody and systemize caring for our inner Leo, we more than likely will see a lot of movement in our lives. Potential healing for Leo. Anytime that you felt rejection, anytime that you're comparing yourself to others, anytime that you've been a bully or you've been bullied, anytime you've stopped other people's light from shining or you've stopped your own for fear of rejection, fear of not being understood or welcomed, that is a shadow of Leo. So we're looking for all of the times that your heart has quieted, and maybe it started quieting really young and maybe in some traumatic ways. Most humans have experienced trauma. So this said, when we start to heal our heart, we need to make sure we create very soft containers that have buddies in them, that know that we might be experiencing more emotion. And so when we're experiencing more emotion, we might need more hugs, more emotional care. So then as we start to heal, we want to practice play. Leo is all about play and exaggerated emotions and happiness. What feeds your passion? That's a Leo question. How can you feed your passion every day? Important right now. Because as you start to feed your passion, that moves us across the zodiac to Aquarius, where we receive new ideas, new connections, new communities, new opportunities that bring about the embodiment and the expression of our passion in a way that brings service to the world. Journal inquiries that we want to bring into this week and really into this whole year and a half with the nodes, North Node, Aquarius, South Node, Leo. I'll put these journal inquiries in the captions. I've started doing that so you can just cut and paste them. Number 1, does my life create enough space for my heart to fully feel, to process, and to reconcile what it experiences? Number 2, when difficult emotions arise, do I avoid? Do I numb? Do I feel the feels? Do I move them through? What do I do? So ask yourself that. Number 3, what helps my emotions move? What environments, what sounds? Think of this, we're mammals. Energy in motion, emotion. Sometimes emotions just need to move. What helps yours move? And who do I compare myself to? This is a fun one. Who do I compare myself to? If I borrowed inspiration from comparison, what qualities would I like to experience? This is using others as inspiration for what you love. So take these journal prompts and press play to them anytime in the next year and a half while the nodes are in Aquarius and Leo. Practice number 2 I suggest is a somatic practice. It's creating emotional pathways, daily, ongoing emotional pathways that allow many moments for your heart to heal. Why would we want to do that? When we suppress, numb, push down our emotions, they stay in our body. They're almost more dangerous when we press them down because they move into our subconscious, which then commands our conscious thoughts. When we start to heal our hearts and express them, we're able to integrate the wounds, the emotional wounds from our past, even if the past is just a minute ago, and we are able to express more of our joy, of our peace, of our creativity, it happens naturally. Think of how you feel after a good cry. Have you had a good cry and know that feeling of like, whew, that feels amazing? Well, that's what we want to facilitate. And so what do? This, I suggest, is to build daily pathways for emotional release that work for you. So it implies some trial and error, because I can only suggest what works for me and what's worked for my clients. So, number one, you build emotional check-ins throughout the day, knowing that when we store fearful, sad, jealous, angry emotions, they're in us, and that they're recreating ideas and potential situations that we might experience them again in. So you notice. That's step two, just noticing. Building times for checking in is step one. Step two is noticing during those times how you're feeling. And we might have lots of layers of emotions. Okay, number three, we express. And express in an exaggerated mammal sort of way. If you are sad, say right now, I'm in a town that has forest, that my town's on fire right now. Well, that's scary, that's confusing, that's sad, it's frustrating. Well, what does my body want to express? So I'm going to drop some sounds in here that if you're sensitive to sound, heads up. So mammal expressions. Or they're not pretty. So practice sounding. Practice sounding with me right now. Ugh. Like if something feels gross, make a gross sound. Ugh. If something feels like gutturally sad, make a guttural sad noise. I mean, it's embarrassing for me to do just filming this to really get fully into it. We have to let go of what we look or feel or sound, well, what we sound like. And we have to focus on what we feel like. So we can sound, we can move, like actually physically move. The more I move, I'm moving my bottom half. So even on film, you can't see it right now. So I'll bend my knees and shake my booty and shake my whole body and maybe just express like punching the air. We need to express it through our form. But when we express anger, oftentimes there's sadness underneath. And so this exercise, creating emotional pathways, is important to do with a buddy, with someone who knows that you're doing it, because we are traumatized as a species. Because we're traumatized, we carry emotions, we suppress emotions, and when they're released, sometimes they come out really strong. And so as you create emotional pathways daily for your heart to heal, to express itself, to reconcile, to come back to peace, which it naturally does once it has pathways of expression, we want to create safe spaces. So you create safe spaces for yourself and others by knowing that emotions are actually a really normal part of being human. They're really powerful. And when they're expressed, felt, and moved, we clear and become really empowered agents of change, and our imaginations become more fertile. I'm really curious how this feels for you. What expressions of emotions feel authentic for you, and what you notice in your mind and your imagination and your just general sense of being once you start expressing on a daily routine. Let me know how that goes. Practice number 3, I suggest, is envy for inspiration. Envy oftentimes points towards unlived and unexpressed desires that we have. So say I'm envious of somebody who has more freedom, or they're more articulate or more creative. Well, that's pointing towards me, that I would enjoy more freedom or being more articulate or being more creative. But oftentimes we get hooked in what we are not and what they are, forgetting that we have the opportunity to cultivate whatever we want internally. We can be and express whatever we want. So when we use comparison as information, then we can use it as intel, like whatever we're jealous of is something that we're wanting that we can choose to try on through our embodiment and our imagination. How? Step one, you scroll either in your mind or on your device, purposefully looking for someone or imagining someone that you feel envious of. Once you find someone you are envious of, then you stop and you distinguish what qualities you're envious of. Say they're really empowered, or they're a clear leader, or you just list whatever it is, their courage, their creativity. And then you separate those qualities from the actual person, right? So you say, I would like that. I'd love more creativity. I'd love more freedom. I'd love more recognition. So say you choose 3 of those. I mean, you can make a list of these that basically determines what your next heart's desire is to cultivate. But each of those attributes we'll say freedom, creativity, and courage, just for fun. Well, you act the part. I always add the word I am at the beginning, because that sets the pace for my whole system. I am free, I am creative, and I am courageous. Then I act the part in a way that you would if you were 5 years old and you were playing make-believe adult. You act the part because what we embody, we grow. So if you're growing jealousy, you're growing inadequacy of what they have and you can't. If you use it as a tool just for intel, then you say, ooh, I'd love that. And you act it little bits over time. That's what I'm suggesting for the 1.5 years. And then this open reception. I'm open to receive more of this, to cultivate more freedom, etc. Okay, I want to see how that one goes too, because we'll be driving these over time. Let me know how it goes in the comments. Please subscribe to this. We're growing this. And so when you subscribe, it really helps me. It also really helps when you, if you're on podcast, when you review it. And so thank you for helping this gather more wingspan, reaching the people that it might help. And in the meantime, let me know how this goes, and I will see you next week. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and a happy new moon eclipse. Thank you for being a part of our community here at Our Waking Dream. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Fill my cup and let it overflow. Let it overflow with love.